The U.S. House of Representatives District 3. This is a single seat. You're able to vote for one candidate. There is a challenge for the Republican primary. Unfortunately, one of the candidates, Charles Anthony, is unable to be here. The two remaining candidates will have 30 seconds to give their opening remarks in alphabetical order. Mr. Charles Anthony and Mr. Thomas E. Pinkston Harris. We will begin with Mr. Anthony. The timekeeper is in the front row and will warn you when you have seconds left, and you may give your 30-second opening.
Mr. Harris.
What?
Mr. Harris.
Mr. Harris is first?
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry. Mr. Harris is first, and Rob Seifert is second.
Good morning. My name is Thomas E. Pinkston Harris, and it's a pleasure and honor for me to be here with you today. First of all, I would like to thank the citizens of the 3rd District for your support that you've given me in the past, and hopefully you will continue that support. And I'm here because I feel that these are dangerous times for our country, and because this is the first time in our history.
Mr. Harris, you only have 30 seconds, so you can catch up on that in your closing.
I'm finished?
Yes, you're finished for the opening.
Okay.
Now we're going to allow Mr. Seifert to give his opening.
I want to thank the league for hosting this event and for the college.
Microphone?
Huh? Very good. Shows what a rookie I am. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Okay, try this again. Like I said, I wanted to thank the college for hosting this event along with the league. Thank you. Give me an opportunity to meet with all of you. My name is Rob Seifert, and I'm running for Congress because I want to be your man in Washington. Whether Republican or Democrat, I want to be there to be your voice, your guide, and your help in Washington. Thank you.
Okay, now we will begin our question session. If you would like to respond, please hold up your card so I can call on each of you in the order in which you are seen. You will have 1 minute for each response. A timekeeper is sitting in the front row to let you know when you have 30 seconds remaining and when your time is up. So the first question, it's possible we need another bridge across the Chesapeake Bay. We have bridges and infrastructure that need attention in all parts of the state. How should Congress prioritize these infrastructure needs? Just let me know which of you wants to answer first.
How should Congress respond to the bridge? How should the United States Congress respond to the need of a new bridge across the Chesapeake Bay? Is that the question?
It's really respond to competing infrastructure needs across the state and nation. How should Congress prioritize those?
Well, Congressman Sarbanes has been talking about infrastructure for so long. I think it's about time that we actually do some infrastructure. And the president, President Trump, his tax cuts have increased the money coming into the national budget. So that should create some funds in which to build the bridge. Just continue supporting the president, and we will have the funds necessary to complete the infrastructure projects.
Thank you, Mr. Harris. Mr. Seifert? Mr. Seifert.
Thank you. So I think infrastructure, as important as it is, when it comes to Chesapeake Bay Bridge or adding another bridge span, that should be primarily a state issue. It's not to say that the federal government couldn't play a role in terms of supplementing transportation funds, but primarily it should be the state of Maryland's responsibility. At the federal level, in terms of infrastructure, only the most basic needs should be the purview of the federal government. Otherwise, these are state and local matters.
Thank you, Mr. Seifert. Question 2, do you feel confident our electoral system protects the individual voter and is free from outside interference, and why?
I endorse the electoral system that we have. I endorse the current system that we have in terms of the electoral college, because if we went strictly on one man, one vote, California, highly populated states, would control who becomes president. Our forefathers' genius foresaw a situation where the less populated states will have just as much power as the more populated states. So I think that the system is perfect as it is.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Seifert?
So the question is about, repeat the question?
Do you feel confident our electoral system protects the individual voter and is free from outside interference, and why?
So no system is perfect. I think if you look at the 3rd Congressional District, the way it's gerrymandered, one could argue that if you're a Republican, your voice is pretty much null and void. So no, in some respects it's not truly safeguarded, but there are reforms that can be made, such as switching to an independent redistricting commission that's free of political interference. That's probably the biggest interference compared to outside interference.
Okay, thank you. Question 3. How do you encourage talented young people to step forward and work and serve in positions in the federal government?
First of all, we have to start teaching our children, our young people, to be independently thinking people, rather than being trying to get them to only serve one party. That we have multiple parties, and children should be rewarded for thinking outside of the box. The way the system is now, if you think outside of the box, you're punished. So children with different ideas are silent. What you have to do is open up the boxes so that people with different ideas can contribute. For example, the Democrat Party I believe, is more guilty of this than any other party, because I give you an example. We have intellectuals such as Clarence Thomas, and
Thank you, Mr. Harris.
okay.
Mr. Seifert?
So how to encourage more young people to run for office and serve? I think ultimately it's a question of installing values. You know, my grandfather was in the Navy. He taught me the value of service. Then ultimately we need to remind people, not just young people, but citizens in general, that if you look at the first 3 words of our Constitution, it's we the people. Not we the government, not we the elected class, not we the rich class, but we the people at large. So if you want to see this country do better, if you want to see it go forward in a positive direction, you must put your name forward. You know, me running is both a desire and me wanting to serve. It's something I wanted to do for a long time, serve my country, serve my state. It's something I aim to do, and hopefully you all give me my support. Thank you.
Thank you. The candidates will now have 30 seconds for their closing statements in reverse alphabetical order. So, Mr. Seifert, you will go first.
Thank you. Again, thank you for the league and to Howard County Community College for hosting this event. I'm looking to earn your support so I can be your man in Washington. You may not agree with me on everything, but just know that I'll always have both ears open, my door will always be open, and I'm here to serve you, no one else. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Harris? Microphone.
Oh, okay. One problem that I just discussed previously is how education has become more indoctrination than education. When I was a child, I never knew what party my teachers belonged to. But today, teachers are indoctrinating kids into their way of thinking. And the way they condemn intellectuals like Condoleezza Rice, Clarence Thomas, and other black intellectuals, they show that...
Mr. Harris?
Okay.
Thank you very much.